Okay, so we all know last year I bought myself an S&T Lee Enfield. And you all know I absolutely love this rifle. So, would it be much a surprise if I told you I'd gone and bought another one? Yes, that's right. I actually bought a G&G Lee Enfield No.4. I've been umming and ahhing about it, and I did technically say for the last 10 years, as soon as I found out they were making one, that I would buy one. And then I was kind of off-put by the fact that it's polymer, not wood. But I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed with the quality of this. So I thought today, I haven't actually skirmished or used it properly yet, we'd have a look at initial impressions, and if I am smart, I will take this to site and range test it as well in this video, so we can just see how it performs kind of out of the box. Now, speaking of box, let's have a look at it. But before we do that, let me just quickly say, if you enjoy the content here on the channel and you aren't already, please do consider subscribing and dropping a like and a comment down below. It really does help the channel out. And also, check out on englishkiwiairsoft.co.uk all of the various products that I make, because if there's anything of interest there, buying that helps fund me doing more interesting things on the channel. For instance, this Lee Enfield. Just as Editing Kiwi jumping in, first of all, just want to say sorry for the cringy self-shilling there. It's really hard to watch that back when I'm editing. But apparently you need to do that to get on YouTube. Yay, capitalism. I'm just going to take over from past Kiwi. I mean, I'm technically past Kiwi to you guys. Everything filmed is in the past, right? Unless it's in the future. I haven't cracked time travel yet. But this video was originally meant to be an initial reaction and then a range test. However, I love to waffle, so the initial reaction was like 40 minutes long. So I'm going to just cut that down, maybe leaving the gold bits, but mostly just voice over now to you guys. So let's start off. The box, it's big, it's got a lovely big picture of the rifle on it, and it's got a lot of diagrams around it explaining the unique loading feature, you know, this whole stripper clip thing. Yeah, it's nice, it protects the rifle well, but my big issue with it is big picture of gun on it, not very easy for you to transport to and from site, especially if you're using public transport. Things to bear in mind, you'll need a gun bag if you buy this rifle. What comes in the box? Well, aside from the documentation, which is a fairly decent manual, and your generic G&G sales brochure with lots of guns shown, you get the rifle, the magazine, the bonus pack they call it, of 3 stripper clips. These are 10-round magazines. You get a barrel cleaning and unjamming rod, and you get the 30-round specific speed loader that really requires another speed loader to speed loader it. Anyway, we've seen what the accessories are. Let's dive on in and have a look at the rifle itself. Wrong, I've been an idiot again. We actually need to take a deeper dive and have a look at why there are stripper clips and a magazine and how that works with an airsoft rifle. So why does it have a bonus package and a mag? And why does the mag look like it won't feed BBs? That's because this is designed to work with stripper clips, which is what is in this box. Come on. So with it you get 3 10-round stripper clips, but they look like 5-round stacks of 303. And that's where this comes into play, because this is a specialist speed loader designed to load said stripper clips. And then the mag goes in the rifle and the stripper clips go in the mag, and you load them while it's in the rifle, like so. And they will lock in when there's BBs in the stripper clip. Makes a little ratchet every round you put in. So these hold 10 rounds, but they're modelled after 5-round strippers. A real Lee Enfield mag will hold 10 rounds, so 2 stripper clips. So they've got the capacity right, but the stripper clip's wrong. But then again, it looks like you're loading a real 5-round stripper, which is cool. It's really cool. It's a really cool idea. And what's nice is it will pop out and stop you cycling the bolt when it's empty, as it does now. Put that in, and then that's our 10 rounds. When they're loaded, this G&G logo depresses slightly, and this black kind of like half arrow pointing down is now flush with the rest of this embossed surface. So when we load it, it should ratchet past these points and then lock into place. Then when it's unloaded, that will pop in and it will pull this out and expel it out. So hopefully that sits like that, and then if I push it in again, it will spring out. That's quite cool. I like that. Hugely impractical, and I really hope they're going to release some mags that are shaped correctly for feeding on the top, but I like 30 rounders because this is a gas gun, but the gas doesn't go in the mag. This is very much akin to kind of like TM shotguns where gas goes in the stock. There you go, there is the gas fill valve, and that little bit sticking out, that is a easy access hop adjustment key. So I'll show you that on the overhead. There you go, it is sprung loaded. Just grab and pull out. That is our hop adjustment key, and our hop adjuster is underneath the front of the magwell screw. So you just drop it in like so, lock it in place, and then you can adjust your hop. Now, being a number 4, the action is slightly different to the SMLE. It has an internal run bolt head as opposed to the external one on the Smelly, and it has a takedown lever. So let us take the bolt out, because it takes out just like a real bolt. There is our bolt, look at that. Nicely machined, working striker piece, and even all the grooves cut in the bolt. And I'm pretty sure, just from my vague memory of watching Forgotten Weapons videos on the number 4, that this cutout is very similar to a real Lee in terms of shape and cut tracks. I apologise, it's not Forgotten Weapons, it will have been Bloke on the Range I watched to see these. Now the bolt itself is also the gas router, so gas comes up through this hole, flows through the bolt, and then comes out through our nozzle. Here we can see our rotating bolt head and feeding ramp. I've not taken this apart yet, I'm looking forward to doing that after I've tested it. Anywho, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let us get the bolt back in the rifle. In it goes, down that goes, put that in place, and let's just ease springs. The bolt is incredibly smooth to work. It's clear, by the way. If I just lock this closed, it's now cocked, safety is off. Yeah, that's it, gas, that was it firing a shot. It is very quiet. So yeah, you can see the action there is just so smooth and easy to do. The only bit where there's any resistance is here, where you have to cock the cocking piece, like so. Now, there isn't a huge amount of adjustability on this rifle. What there is a flip up rear sight, which is then elevation adjustable. There is range markings in yards on here. So there is 300, 400, 500, 6, 7, 8. Or in airsoft, that's about 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters, 6 meters, 7 meters, 8 meters. Battle aperture, see it there. And then you flip up. Whoop, for your little peep sight, which should be just here. Just coming round to the left, we've got our safety. So in this position, it's in fire. Back here, which you can't do unless it's cocked for some reason. Back here is safe, so you can't pull the trigger, can't fire the cocking piece. Then there's also this weird halfway house, which doesn't exist on a real Lee Enfield, but for some reason G&G have put it in. This halfway house here, when your cocking piece is down, means you can't unlock the bolt, which is a Car 98 thing and maybe a 1903 Springfield thing, but on a Lee Enfield that was never the case. You could always manipulate the bolt no matter what your safety was doing. Oh yeah, look, it does stop the bolt coming back on that one as well. Weird. Okay, fair enough. Obviously we've got a working cocking piece, striking piece, and this is actually the striker. So when you pull the trigger, as I shall do, that flies forwards and actually hits in here the valve that routes the gas. Right, there we go. In the guts of the rifle there, we've got obviously the G&G green rubber, which is our kind of valve seal. And then below that, that gold piece just to the right of it, that is the actual valve knocker. and then obviously below the green piece in the hole is the valve itself. So that knocker gets striked by the striking piece, which is this G&G branded piece on the bottom. So that face there is what strikes the valve in there and fires the gun. So it fires in a very similar way to a real Lee Enfield. So we have our striker piece here, and this pin here on a real one would go the entire length of the bolt and is the firing pin. So as the striker goes forwards, that pin comes out, hits the back of it round, thump, off it goes. BB's the bullet, the 303 round would come flying out the end of the muzzle and go off and do things. Now, speaking of muzzles, let's have a look at that. So we have the exposed barrel. There are some lugs on it for the number 4 bayonet, which I probably should make one at some point. And then we have somewhat exposed front sights with this set of wings fitted around it, and then different woodwork. I say woodwork, this is a polymer rifle, but I have to admit, other than the seam on the stock, this feels really, really good. And when it was hanging on the wall next to my SMLE, which is wood, it's very hard to say this isn't wood. Now that's not to say I'm not going to try and replace this polymer at some point, and I have no idea how gracefully this polymer is going to wear, but bearing in mind you get fake wood floors nowadays that are pretty good, I'm hoping G&G have actually put some effort in and this is half decent. Okay, so idiot me forgot to talk about the markings because I was too impatient, so let's quickly run over them. But for reference, I'm just going to show you the S&T one. Whoop, here it is without bayonet, because that is far too long to show both. Yes, that is an Airsoft Safe 3D printed bayonet with 3D printed wood grips, available on the website if you are interested. Capitalism out the way, let's crack on with this. So the markings for this rifle are on the wrist underneath the bolt handle. So you've got the Crown Acceptance stamp, 1918 for its year of manufacture. Obviously this one is more like 2021. And then the Lee Enfield 3-star, short magazine Lee Enfield Mark 3 star. Now that's generally where the markings went on the SMLE. However, when we look at the G&G, there are no markings on the wrist, and the only real markings are on the machine side of the receiver, and they say number 4 Mark 1 F brackets FTR 48. Now that's not quite accurate for most number 4s. That might be slightly more accurate for the American made Lend-Lease ones, but then it doesn't have property of US government on it, which it should do because that's how Lend-Lease worked. They had to be owned by the US government to be lent/leased to the UK. What this is most likely meant to look like is a Fazakali or BSA or Enfield produced Lee Enfield. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. Enfield produced Lee Enfield, that has gone through the war, come out the other side of it, and then gone through the factory refit at Fazakali. That's what the F stands for, in 1948. So F brackets FTR 48 will be Fazakali refit or factory restore refit refurb FTR 1948. Now when this happened, they would remark the rifle and they would then cross out any of the original information that was wrong. But that would have been on the wrist of the rifle, but there is none there. So if you feel like adding them in, you can, but otherwise still looks quite nice. The other interesting marking is on the top of the rear sight, and it is the very fancy micrometer adjustable rear sight. But on the back of that there is the stamp B, which I'm fairly sure means that the micrometer sight was a BSA made micrometer sight, being put onto a number 4 at Fazakali, and I'm assuming this is meant to be a Fazakali made rifle. So Fazakali made rifle being refurbed in 1948, getting the Gucci sight, then that was made by BSA, Birmingham Small Arms. You know, people also made motorcycles. So yeah, British through and through, I guess this rifle is. And the other reason I say British through and through is because most, if not all, of the Canadian and American-made No.4s had the slotted or grooved upper rear handguard. This one does not. So it's probably a British-made version, or a clone of a British-made version. Anywho, far too much detail there. Let's jump back into whatever previous me was saying. What's the metal parts made out of? Well, let me grab a handy dandy high torque motor here. So I think this is ECI one, and let's have a look. Well, that's steel. I think the trigger is probably going to be cast because it's not. Well, it's hard to tell actually. No, the trigger is steel. Don't know how well you can tell, but as I move the motor closer to the trigger, it jumps up. The striker piece is definitely metal, steel. Bolt handle isn't. The rear sight is, and that's all parts of the rear sight. The bolt release lever is. None of the bolt is. None of the receiver is. But the metalwork attached to the stock parts are. So that band certainly is, as is the sling loop. And let's go to the nose. Oh yeah, that is all. Even the outer barrel is steel, which is cool. Got a rear sling loop. Yeah, that's steel. And our butt pad is steel as well. So, if you hadn't noticed, this is quite a long rifle. I mean, the barrel starts here and it ends all the way up here. And if you have a look, there you go, can you see it? There is the inner barrel, all of a centimetre from the outer barrel. So it's a really long inner barrel. And with a gas gun, hopefully that is going to translate to some decent FPS off of not much gas. So hopefully they're going to get quite a few shots out of the gas tank in this. I'm hoping I'm going to get it to under UK limits in terms of 350 FPS on 0.2, because I'd really like to use this as it's meant to be used, a standard infantry rifle as opposed to a DMR or a marksman's rifle or a sniper rifle. Although I could turn it into a No.4 T and use it as a sniper rifle, or if I want to spend ludicrous money, I could turn this into an L42, 3D print my own mags, and make it into a 7.62 sniper rifle from the Cold War era. That would also be quite cool. Right, so hopefully by now I am going to edit in some videos from site where I've done a bit of a range test and a chrono with this. Right, hello, welcome up to Tuddenham. This is actually the third time I've tried to film this video, and I'll explain why in a bit. Yeah, I'll just jump on really quickly and explain why I did 3 range tests to get this to work. I broke the rifle pretty much straight away because I was stupid. Basically, I took it to site to go test during game day. I left it in the car over the morning and had a little bit of gas in it, and it was a warm day. And then suddenly at lunch it wasn't holding gas. Lo and behold, it had blown a seal, and as far as I can tell, that seal is designed solely as an overpressure release valve. So it blew out because it's designed to blow out. However, G&G don't seem to stock spare seals and valves and seals and O-rings for this rifle yet, and you have to buy a massive part to replace that one O-ring, and that comes in at £42. I haven't done that. I went and bought an O-ring kit eventually, found the right O-ring, fitted it to it, and it now seals and holds gas nicely. However, in the interim, I had tried a bodge of Teflon taping to get it to seal, and that had worked, but I was seeing very inconsistent shots. So I was wondering if the Teflon tape was causing the issues. So I went up, did it once, didn't see very good results. Went away, went back again, tried some different gases and some different weight BBs. Still saw a bit of a inconsistency in the shots. And then I went back up again, and that's the video we are now watching. So yes, I broke it. I'm stupid. Don't leave a gas rifle in a car on a warm day. Take it out and leave it at ambient temperature, and hopefully everything will be fine. Anyway, back to the range test. Oh wait,
yes, I also cut down my monologuing and me walking off to fix the range cam. Yes, we're testing. It was about 21 degrees. The gun averaged 0.95 joules over 10 shots. There was one of the shots was a bit lower than the others, but all the rest were within like 3 or 4 FPS, which was quite nice to see. I think I had it fully gassed to stock, so the consistency might go up with a full gas stock. But that is something for me to experiment with later in the day. And we had the range targets set up at 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60 metres. I am not wearing proper iPro in the range test. I was the only one there. The targets were at least 20 metres away. There was no way BBs could bounce back and hit me. And if they did bounce back, these glasses probably would stop the shot. And also I'm quite blind, so I wanted to be able to see properly to give the rifle the best chance of being fairly accurate, because I'm a crap shot to begin with. Anyway, so yes, do as I say, not as I do, always wear iPro. Anyway, let's jump on in and see how the rifle performs at 0.95 joules with 0.36 gram Jeff BBs. So we have 30 rounds of 3.6s loaded. I showed the rifle to the range camera, and then basically once we get 2 shots onto a target, we will move on to the next one. So 20 meters. Safety off. Got to put that on. Oh, come on. Normally this is easy enough to do. I'm just being extra bad today. There we go, 20. 20 again, right. Let's try 30. Hopefully this one will be a bit easier because it's a lot bigger. 30. 30. That's 10 rounds already gone, so we'll put in another 10 rounds and then we'll play around with the 40. Luckily the wind has stopped for us. So I set the hop up, but it now seems to be over hopping quite a bit. $40. 40. Right, let's move on to 50. 50. 10 rounds left. Annoyingly at 50 I'm shooting into the sky, so it's actually kind of hard to see the BB. So I'm just going to take a couple of shots just to the left of the 40 to see where it's going. Okay, yeah, so they are climbing away a bit. $50. Let's see if I can get it again. 50. Let's try the 60. Don't have much faith. Okay, right. So we're able to get shots on everything up to 50. Now this is iron sights and I'm still slightly blind even with my glasses. But I have seen that there's a bit of FPS variance. So, well, I say a bit, 10 FPS when I did 10 rounds through the chrono. So the lowest was 230, the highest was, all right, let's just double check that. The highest was 242.6 and the lowest was 230, but only one was at 230. The next lowest was then 239. So one outlier, and that could have been a damaged BB, or it could have been, I don't know, different weight BB somehow. I don't think it was. But yeah, so once you know where your BBs are going, you can definitely engage players at 13, 40 metres. Okay, so if you couldn't tell by the fact that I was far too preoccupied reloading the stripper clips and getting the rifle shooting again to instead of, film the conclusion to this video, the thing that really summarises it all up and gives the viewer a closure to the story of, the G&G Lee Enfield, I really like this rifle. It is really, really fun to use. Is it the most accurate thing ever? No. Could I improve it? Probably. Was I using it as it's meant to be used? I didn't fully gas the mag because that's 30 seconds of gas, and I knew I was only going to be plinking it on the range, and I didn't want to waste the gas, and I didn't know if it was the right gas. A lot of variables. So maybe I can improve the consistency by using a full tank of gas. But it is so much fun, real fun to use with the 10-round strippers and having to load them, and then having to get those out and load another one. It adds a new dynamic to airsoft, and I'm really looking forward to actually skirmishing with this and seeing how useful and effective it can be. Obviously, there are a couple of flyers in the shots, and when it's a or a single shotgun, limited to 10 rounds, might be a bit interesting, but we shall see how it goes. Overall, it's really, really well made. The metal parts are really, really nice. The plastic faux wood furniture is surprisingly good. I thought it was going to be worse than it is. Like I said, when it was on the wall next to the S&T one, which is wood, from a distance it's kind of hard to tell, and really the only obvious giveaway is the seam on the stock. Although there are rumours that there is a wood one coming. Now obviously I haven't skirmished this, so I can't definitively recommend or not recommend it. But I will say it is really, really, really fun to use, and I'm constantly picking it up and using it as a fidget toy here in the office, just because that bolt mechanism is bellissimo. So overall, I'm very happy with the purchase. Yes, it was an expensive purchase. I mean, you could buy a decent TM recoil for the price I paid for that. It's a niche gun, but if you're looking for a G&G, if you're looking for a Lee Enfield that feels as close to using a real Lee Enfield as possible, this is probably your bet. So yeah, stay tuned for a proper review once I've used and abused it a bit more. But until then, stay safe, and I'll see you all soon.